folks, and tonight we got a great show for you. Boy, is this going to be an interesting one, and it's going to be more interesting than you could ever imagine. We got some great stories and some great opinions and some great knowledge with my co-host, Nina, the Mystic Truther. Thank you for being here with me.
It's my pleasure. It's always fun to be here.
Yes, tonight we got good stuff going on. Man, we're going to learn a lot. If you didn't know stuff about things, we're going to teach you something. Anyway, we got some good stories for you, and stuff that you probably used in your everyday thoughts and you didn't even think about. And so tonight we're going to be talking about the sky gods. Me and Nina have been doing a show about the Anunnaki for quite a while. I says, well, there's got to be more to it. The Anunnaki were just in a small part of the world. And welcome, Max Vision.
Hi.
Right on time.
Always coming on. There you go.
There he is.
Well,
there he is. Thank you for being here tonight.
No problem. Welcome to be here.
This is going to be a good one. And people like Pamela Jean are going to definitely relate to this. So stick around. Crystal Shaman's in the house. Grandpa Brian, Sunset Dreamer, Chris Smith, thank you. And Grandpa Brian, thank you. Yes, I am doing good tonight. So anyway, Max, we are going to be talking about the sky gods. Me and Nina have been doing a thing on the Anunnaki. Now, I knew there's got to be more to this story, more than just the Anunnaki. More out there, more abductions, more knowledge. You can't have a small part of the Sumerians giving you all the knowledge and really go by that. It has to be out there somewhere else. So my journey into this knowledge-seeking thing went far. And it turned out that the sky gods, or you could say visitors, and the church has canceled out the knowledge and history of most of these events of the past. People like Justin Martyr and Clement of Alexandria, origins of Miracon, they all had some beliefs other than what the church had said. They believed in something than the only way. And so anytime somebody came out and said, hey, this isn't real, what they're talking about is aliens, which of course I'm sure there was something other than that, got recorded in like the Nagamati, put in the desert, buried in jars, pagan beliefs recorded these things, destroyed by the church, people sacrificed and burned at the stake. Plato was one of those famous scholars who had already told of the ancient world about extraterrestrials, beings who came and influenced our ancestors. Where? Atlantis. Yes, Atlantis was technically started by Atlas, who was an alien, who would have been an alien, I should say, an extraterrestrial who came here from afar to start a great society, giving us knowledge and understanding of the world. But this knowledge and stuff was destroyed. Our knowledge obtained from Egypt and Samaria, not acknowledged. Then out of centuries of knowledge, knowledge was to be forgotten or destroyed. Ancient knowledge of the sky people, the 10 commandments given to Moses by a sky god, only be covered up to in a story referring to God. The Romans illegalized knowledge. They buried it in caves. People buried it in caves, in the deserts. In the 15th century, knowledge was confiscated. Did you know that? And burned. And It was burned in South America as the Spaniards conquered the lands of the Aztecs and the Mayan and the Inca. Conquered and burned, and the knowledge destroyed of anything other than what we know. Then, even in today's world, in modern world, the knowledge couldn't be suppressed. They couldn't burn us at the stake. So they had people like Truman. And Truman, he suppressed the knowledge with the National Security Act of 1947. Aliens, who are they? Well, we're going to find out tonight. So, anyway, so there is my monologue for tonight. I hope I didn't rock all your world about what is going on in the world. But hey, it's happened throughout the centuries. But how do we prove this? Well, we can prove it by recent events. There's been drones, things like that have filled our skies. Even the government admits that these are not ours. We have, and I have some recent articles. This is a thing from 1966, an event that happened. It was silence. It's one of those big silencing things. I'm sure there's many, many more out there. This is the strange lights in the sky, the Westall UFO event in 1966. During 1966, we're not even going to go to Roswell. It talks about Roswell, the Battle of Los Angeles. So there are more. This is the United States, but this here's happened in Australia. I like to go to other countries because it seems that they don't cover things up as much, but they do. Pine Ridge is in Australia, which is a American government compound, if you haven't known, that supposedly deals in alien UFOs and research and things like that. But here in 1966, apparently 5 UFOs came over a school area. The kids seen the UFOs. They ran out. They went over to the UFOs. One of them actually touched the UFO, got sick, and had to be rushed to the hospital. But soon after, the kids have, they seen this UFO, and the people were taking pictures and things like that. The government was called out. The planes were showing up. The men in black showed up, took the film, took the cameras, put the kids in, quarantine, and said, hey, you didn't see nothing. Nothing happened. It was a weather balloon.
Yeah, look around the world at all these. We did the Rendlesham incident, the Rendlesham Forest incident, which was in 1980. And there's a couple of key things that keep showing up. You've got the saucers, of course. You have the lights and all that. But then we have nearby military bases for some reason in almost all of these incidents. And
yes,
that seems to have is a key factor in a lot of these things for some reason.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, are these aliens come to check out the military bases? And they have a breakdown. They need to land. I mean,
or they're shot down.
Or they're shot down. Yes, I mean, look at 1947. The Roswell. It says that at the same time that these ships had crashed, they were testing the new microwave radar, and the theory is that the aliens weren't expecting to deal with microwave whatever at the time.
Yep.
So
and then again we can add the Nazis into that, the breakaway civilization of the Nazis and their the Glock, the bell, And when we're looking at a craft, is it alien? Is it government? Is it otherworldly or other civilization? Right? And we're really left in the dark on a lot of these things.
We are. We're definitely left in the dark. Nina,
Hey,
what do you
yeah,
think of
I
all
think,
this?
I know that we got a hold of some information back in the 40s or whatever, and I think that's what the the party back in the 40s there were experimenting. They were huge into the occult, so anything occult or paranormal, whatever, they were right into that. And so I'm wondering if all of these sightings that we've been seeing here from the 40s all the way up till probably fairly recent here, I'm wondering if it's just them recreating, trying it out, see how it works, that kind of thing. I don't think they're actually aliens coming here to visit us as of yet. Or if there is, I don't think we see them. I think they're smart enough to do it in a way that they're not noticed. The things that we're seeing here, even back in 52, wasn't it? Several that flew over the White House. I mean, why is nobody talking about that? Again, I
Yeah.
think it was them. I think it's us. You know what I mean? I don't think those are, aliens. I think it's just us trying things out. So.
Well, and I know I agree. I think there's at some point we developed some of this technology, and some of it is us, and some of it is, extraterrestrial. I think just like the Anunnaki, they came, and at that point, it was all them. And now but this kind of stuff happens throughout history. It's been happening for hundreds of years. So you really can't say it's all us because of the fact that, well, then who was flying around back in the day? 100 years ago, 200 years, 300 years ago. Those
So
stories.
now we're getting into the whole, how long have we actually been here, and who was here just before us. We can tell there's a lot of evidence, when you watch that lunch break channel. He's kind of specialized in this, but it seems like we built right on top of some other cities, some other things, and there's a few other buildings left, like cathedrals and stuff like that. That means it's clearly we, as this species right here, did not make that. Now, who made that? Was there a different version of us prior to us that was a lot smarter that way? Was it leftover technology that we knew before this? Like, I don't know. Like, have we been tampered with so much now that that we've forgotten all this stuff? Or, what I mean? Like, what's
Well,
going
there
on?
was the times when man walked with the gods, right? The gods were here. There's the
Right.
Vimana of
That's the
India.
Anunnaki. Yeah.
There were three interpreters that they got to go to the Vatican to decipher a couple of the earliest versions of the Torah, and they kept having to fire them because they had a hard time not making God look like an alien. So there's kind of an alien bit there, kind of, but I think they were more demigods myself than aliens.
Oh yeah, they're not. When they say God, that's not the infinite creator. That's just another being from somewhere else
Yeah.
that's probably a little bit smarter than us. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
the original creatures on the planet.
Yep.
If you read the ancient text, there were the Cyclops, the 100-handed and 50-headed, and then the Titans and the gods were all born in, I believe, that succession on the planet. And we come after the gods. It's written about in Ovid's and the ancient Greek literature when mankind was actually came about. So, yeah, there's that history to entwine into it too.
Yeah, did somebody
Yep.
say that we've only been here at 400 years? I don't see it.
4,000. 4,000.
4,000. Okay.
Huh.
I think our history's been, I think they've tacked on 1,000 years to our history. I don't think we've been here as long as we think we have. You know, it seems like that in the 1800s or even the 1700s, things started changing.
Hmm.
History was, I think, erased, a lot of it. And they, you know, I don't know if you watch that lunch break channel, it really explains it and kind of gives you some receipts and stuff to what he's talking about there. And it seems like, you know what, it's we may not have been here as long as we think we are, you know, like, because it just seems so weird. I always wondered, like, why is there 1,000 years here where we haven't changed our hairstyle, we haven't changed our fashion, our tools, the way we do things? Like, that just seems weird to me. Like, why did we not advance at all in that 1,000 years? And so that kind of resonates with me because we weren't there. They tacked that on because we seem to want to change all the time, you know, constantly. Like now it's every 10 years we change hairstyles, fashion changes, you know. I mean, now everything's disposable, really. So now we keep changing things on a yearly almost. But yeah, it just yeah, it seems really odd to me. So
Well, by the ice core samples, like if you take, like they judge ice core samples as one layer as a year. But if you take it as a storm and you average out the average storms, I got the Earth's age to be around 24 million years. Not the, what is it, 3 billion or something that they claim? Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that Earth has been here a long time, yeah. And it's
But
probably
24 million years is a pretty long time.
That's a pretty long time, yeah. Yeah, but how long was the Earth empty before even any life came to it? You know what I mean?
Well,
it probably developed over millions of years, right?
Some of these first creatures lived really, really long lives. Hundreds of thousands of years, probably, even like the Titans and the Cyclops and that. They were almost eternal, though they were considered eternal, you know?
So it seems like our atmosphere was different back then. So, you know, so that we were able to live longer. Now, for the firmament, whatever it is, you know, something changed. Now we can't live that long.
It's Velikovsky's three-sun theory, where we started off in the glow of Saturn's aura, which would have given us a denser atmosphere. We probably had a much denser atmosphere too, and it was misty. Everything was misty. There was no rain. And we broke out and saw the planets and the sun or the stars for the first time, and got a new sun. And then Jupiter came along and gave us our seasons, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense with the whole Saturn thing, because apparently Saturn used to be our god, apparently. Mm-hmm. And the Jews have never forgotten about that. And so that's why they're still kind of worshiping the whole Saturn thing. And hence why they have the cube of Saturn and all this kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's very interesting. And you saw Melania Trump wearing the Saturn hat during the, you know, the whole thing there. I mean, it looked like a funeral, really, but, you know, representing Saturn, and, you know, very clear who they are allegiance with, you know, just by what they're wearing, you know, by him not putting the hand on the Bible, the whole thing. Like, it's just, so we seem to be going back to Saturn again, or at least that's where they want us to go back to that thing. So that's, yeah, interesting.
Well, I mean, you know, it's hard to get rid of the old gods. Speaking of that, you know, see, it started out, I mean, as far as we can go back, I guess, you know, we can go back to the Anunnaki, but we can also go back to Plato. Well, now Plato never explicitly mentioned the extraterrestrials, you know, UFOs and aliens, but he did, you know, talk about the demiurge, about how it shaped the cosmos. He did talk about the advanced civilizations, and just talking about Atlantis and telling that story was basically an extraterrestrial who came and started Atlantis thousands of years ago. You know, was a mythical hybrid beings. And some of Plato's discussions, such as the Republic and the Statesman, he refers to mythological beings and the golden age of humans who were closer to the gods. So, it's for you and everybody else to imagine after that what was going on back then. And I think because we, the people, didn't have much technology, it was much easier for these extraterrestrials to come and go and shape our world as we know it because of no fear of being attacked. I mean, today, you get a UFO out there, the jets are scrambled. We have weapons of some sort. Back then, no worries. Nobody's even taking a picture. They might draw some pictures or carve something in stone, but that's about it. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to get away with things, isn't it? If we didn't have any technology to keep any records. Probably didn't know how to read and write or any of that stuff. It was all glyptify things or whatever on the inside the caves. So I don't know.
Yeah, any science sufficient enough would be considered magic. Nowadays.
Yeah.
With wireless, we have magic. We can do amazing things.
Exactly.
Well, and apparently, was Atlantis an experiment? Because apparently they had enough technology there to destroy themselves and disrupt the planet. And then it makes you start wondering, well, if they can do all of that at that point, if you were the aliens trying to control things, wouldn't you say, well, maybe we shouldn't give them this much power? Maybe on the next go around we have to limit this, otherwise they're gonna maybe destroy themselves, the universe, the planet. Who knows what?
Well,
I was gonna say maybe that's what happened, right? So who knows?
Have you seen my work on the fasces?
No.
The fasces, the ancient Greek symbol for power?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Fasces is basically, well, you can go back and look at my work, but it's a microwave weapon from Atlantis. The Greeks used the fasces as their symbol of power. Is that, let me show you, I can show you a picture of it. Hold on. This is hilarious.
Okay.
But I think that technology made its way from Atlantis to us.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Carried down through the centuries. Well, at some point in time, the Germans, everybody around the world in the 40s was looking for this hidden technology that might still be out there, covered up. They, not only, we know of Germany, but we also know of, more than that.
Yeah, so there's George Washington with a giant fasces. Microwave weapon. They could have used this to cause plague, used it before a battle, aim it and fire it at the enemy army in about half an hour. You'll just walk all over them. Could have smallpox, the plague, all of these things could have been caused by the fasces and microwave weapons.
I was wondering about that. Like all these plagues all of a sudden showing up. Like, where the hell did these things come from? You know what I mean? Seems a little fishy because we don't have that now. We don't just all of a sudden have a plague. You know what I mean? Like there's, Like it just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, the plague doctors going through the various cities. I bet they just took one of these weapons, and beside him is basically a battery. There's a battery beside him. They take a battery and attach it to the fasces, and they batter the city. That's where we get the military term of a battery. Military battery. It's power.
Yeah, battery power. Yeah.
Well, it's battery power.
Yeah, I get it. But see, the thing is here he's pictured with it, but back in the day, nobody's seen anything like that, so they don't even know what to make of it.
It wouldn't make any noise either, so it'd be silent. You're just setting up something. Oh, that's pretty. The people would look at it. Oh, that's nice. And you attach your little battery to it. And it silently goes off, and people start getting sick.
Nice.
Yeah, they wouldn't know. Yeah.
You wouldn't have a clue.
It's the blankets, Indians. It's the blankets.
Mhm.
Well,
It's
it
the
may
rats,
affect.
the
I guess,
fleas
I mean,
on the rats, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
There's
Yeah.
probably a lot of fishy stuff. That goes way back to day one. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that technology, I think, was handed down to us long ago. Either they stole it, created it, I don't know, probably from Atlantis because they destroyed themselves. And they're probably using the same technology now, which I know they are because it's based, all the microwaves that we have are based on that technology. And we're using it now. We'll see if we can do it again.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure there was some technology left over, that they found. I mean, we found the tablets, so why wouldn't they, in previous,
Yeah.
civilizations?
And there were
found?
the escapees from that made it to Egypt, remember? The sea peoples that were supposedly from Atlantis. So they may have started some of this technology with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then of course the technology goes, it keeps going, and going, and they keep covering it up. I think I got something on what you were talking about here. Let me find that. We are going to go to. Oh, we're going to go to this. Have you heard of the Mahawahi Wata? Mami Wata, I think that is.
No.
And I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But these people, maybe they were in the water, maybe it was Atlantis, maybe they lived in the water. I don't know. I mean, you guys got to make up your. The Mami Wata was worshipped across the West Coast, East Africa, and the Caribbean. So we kind of know the area. Devotees often make offerings of perfume, jewelry, mirrors, coins, and liquor at rivers or lakes. Some stories tell of the Mandi Wata taking human lovers right off the beach, which seems to be, believe it or not, a common occurrence that even happens today.
Wow.
But nobody talks about it. We talk about missing people, and then sometimes these people come back. But then they're just returned, and everybody goes, "Ooh, they found them after 3 years of missing in the ocean. They showed up on the beach one day."
Has there actually been stories like that, like modern times?
Yes. There's also been stories of modern times, but it gets covered up. It doesn't get publicized because who's going to say, "Oh yeah, this person got taken by the Maniwata, and here they are returned, 20 years later." Or 3 years or 4
Well, I
years.
would want to hear about that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just, they're missing, and all of a sudden they've been found and returned to their parents, and everything is good. And also,
But they were never the same again, right?
They
Right.
aren't. Yes, and
Yeah.
sometimes the Madiwata has inspired art, music, literature. They also link to fishermen, traders, and travelers. Their main figure African, kind of, because they're in that area. So we're going to see what this looks like. This is what the Madiwata looks like. Some stories tell of Madiwata taking human lovers, offering riches or spiritual gifts, but requiring complete devotion in return. Oh, another
Some parts of that are okay, but that snake thing part, that's not looking good.
Yeah, that's not. I was gonna say is it almost looks like a mermaid, but not with the snake things going on.
Yeah, some parts are okay there, but some parts are kind of concerning.
Yeah, I would definitely be scared.
Supposed to be like part like a mermaid kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you notice she's not white. She is a dark figure.
It's like they look like, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I says. It's just kind of weird like that. So anyway.
Well, there is the saying that we come from Africa. That's where we originate from. So
the out of Africa theory has been debunked. We actually we kind of sprung up from different places.
Okay.
And then there was the Cro-Magnon incursion where they went around and pretty much mated with all the people, and
Oh, they did?
yeah.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
always wondering what happened to the Cro-Magnon people.
Yeah, they interbred with everybody. They were probably like demigods.
Hmm.
They were
Yeah.
probably the demigods.
Well, and of course we got another version, you know, of the picture of it, but she's kind of, you know, maybe this is where they got mermaids from, you
It
know.
must be. Yeah.
You know,
Well, don't
she
forget
came
about
to the shore.
the god Enki. He
Don't
was a half fish as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's where the Vatican gets their whole fish hat and everything from.
Yep. The miter hat.
Well, it is interesting that all these, not all, but most of these UFOs and whatnot, they are seen going into the water or coming up from the water. There's definitely something going on down in depths of our oceans that we have no clue about.
Mm.
And I think
There's rumors of some of the drones coming in and out of the water as well.
Oh, well, there you go. So it might be coming from a different civilization that's down under the sea still. We just don't know about it, because isn't it funny how they're spending all this money looking up, going to Mars and all this, but nobody's checking out to see what's down in our own oceans.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and like, the ocean's a much larger area than
70% of the planet, you know. So that's a lot.
You would think that they would be interested in that, but I haven't heard anything about that at all. So
okay. Yeah, well, I told. Oh, yeah. Well, and
they've probably done deep. You know, they've probably done sonar. They're supposed to have done the Internet of the Oceans as well. So they've mapped everything there supposedly. But they're not going to give us all the information, of course. But if there's any cities or anything down there, power sources, they'd have detected it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be quite far deep, though. So I don't know if we're able to reach. Well, maybe we don't have the technology to even go down that deep. I don't know.
Like, they do, yeah. Yep. That's why we created nanotech. That gives us reach. It's like the fog technology gives us closer connections between devices. Same thing within the ocean. They put some nanotech in there, some particulate, and they can pretty much hop. It's called hopping. You hop from one to another, and you can go anywhere. So depths don't even matter.
Wow.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah. Well, who knows why Europe is named Europe?
Europa,
yeah. Europa, and of course, again, we have another water story. And, you know, I was really impressed by this one because, you know, as I started the Marijuana, you know, about the technology and the being abducted on the beach and stuff, along comes this story. And I was just amazed that Europe is basically named after a myth or tale of a water story about a woman being abducted by, you know, a water being on the beach, and then, you know, being returned with children, and then Europe is being, you know, named after this story, and we're going to go through the story a little bit.
Isn't that interesting? That's another water story again, being abducted by the water again.
Yeah.
It seems to be a common thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And the interbreeding, right? That's, I believe we're chimeric creatures, and that was the reason for the flood. Too many mixed breeds of humans around, so they had to pare it down. And they saved, you know, a few people that had genetics that were closer to the gods than all these animal and beast mixes, like the, you know, the Minotaur, and in the Bible they talk about the scorpion people, and they just had to get rid of those people. You know, it was too much, I guess.
Yeah, might have been. It was easier to control people.
Well, I think they weren't supposed to do that in the first place. Like, it was a no.
No, that was part of the fall too. The Fallen took 200 of each beast and mated with them, and made a whole bunch of weird things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and here, this one here makes almost no sense, but yet, how can it make sense if this is the mythology, and why would anybody believe it? Basically, here's Europa. She is riding a bull. She's pictured her children are riding a bull. The story of a Greek mythology from this period partially tells the rule of Zeus. He was one of the gods, and partially of the acts and heroes of demigods. One of the most famous stories of Zeus' relationship with a female goddess and mortals is that of Europa. The tale of Europa and Zeus became the starting point of three other relatively important individuals of Greek mythology, with Europa giving birth to three of Zeus's sons. Europa, is the most of the historical sources, is considered to be a beautiful daughter of Angor, king of Tyre, with her mother normally named Tlafisa or Algorphe, through her father Europa. Europa is a granddaughter of Poseidon, another god, and which Poseidon isn't Poseidon Enki, or no, yeah, Enki, and then and also and Zeus would be Enlil, wouldn't he? Poseidon and a descendant of the nymph. The patronage of Europa also means that it is in most cases she is a sister to the three brothers, and Cadmus, Silicus, and Phoenix. The abduction of Europa. Now this is where it gets interesting. The beauty of any immortal would quickly become known to one or more deities in the Greek pantheon, and from his throne of Mount Olympus, it is Zeus who first spied the beautiful Europa. Despite being married at the time, get it? She's still married to the goddess Hera. Zeus was overwhelmed with a desire for the princess of Tyre. Acting in his desire, Zeus transformed himself into a magnificent white bull and transported himself to Tyre. Europa and her attendants were down by the shore gathering flowers when the white bull wandered up to them. Zeus made sure the bull appeared totally tame, and he laid down at the feet of Europa. Initially a bit scared, Europa eventually started to place flowers upon the white bull before eventually deciding that the bull was tame enough for her to sit upon. Now, what person sits upon a bull? Come on, really? This was, of course, just what Zeus wanted, and Europa on his back, he entered the water and swam off into the sea. Again, abducted into the sea. Europa was too frightened to jump off, and eventually Zeus and Europa arrived on the shores of Crete. Zeus then reveals himself to Europa and transforms into human form. Europa then readily agrees to be his lover beneath the cypress tree, and from coupling the three sons were born: Minos, Radamas, and Saphrodon, I guess. Zeus then left Europa on Crete rather than returning her to Tyre. Europa, though prospered on Crete and married the Cretan king Astrion, and Europe became the first queen of Crete. Gifts for Europa. While Zeus left Europa on Crete, he did not simply abandon her, as he provided her with several gifts. The first of these gifts was a beautiful decorative necklace that was crafted by Hephaestus, and the necklace is often said to be the necklace of harmonica, the cursed necklace of the rulers of Thebes, with Europa giving the necklace as a wedding gift to her future sister-in-law. In the stories, the necklace of harmonica is different necklace created by a cursed Hephaestus. Other gifts provided by Zeus, Europa would be more powerful. And it goes on and creating, here we go with the creation of metalworking god. Talos was a gigantic man made of bronze. Each day he would circle Crete 3 times to offer the island and Europa protection. It would remain a protector of Crete until Argo anchored off the island's coast. And then it goes on alternative versions, blah, blah, blah. The second gift Europa got was a dog named Laplace. Laplace was a dog that was always designed to catch what it was chasing. In subsequent generations, Laplace was sent to chase the Tamutian fox which could not be caught. Faced with the quandary, the uncatchable and the inescapable, Zeus turned both into stone before placing their likeness in the heavens. A final gift was a magical javelin, which, when thrown at a target, would always hit. Doesn't it sound like a rocket? There you go. So anyway, this woman, ended up being named for Europe. I mean, I don't know how many people live in Europe and don't even know why it's named the way it is. It's over a Greek god that was captured and taken into the sea by Zeus himself and then bred, hybridized, other children by the god Zeus, and then left back on the shore to repopulate, with alien hybrid children. What do you think of that?
Seems to be a reoccurring story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's Captain Kirk all over again. Just can't keep his hands off the alien women,
Yeah. Well,
and he doesn't ask either. You notice that? Like when we're reading the Anunnaki there, they don't ask before they help themselves, So yeah. Nice guys. No dinner there before.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's like each one of these stories that I find seems to have the same narrative, the same plot. You're on the beach, something comes up, it entices you, it traps you, takes you. Yeah, takes you into the water. It returns you later, maybe with some knowledge or some gifts to enhance society for your work that you did by having children.
Yeah, by being
or if you're a
molested.
woman, you'll be pregnant. But yeah. So guys will get gifts. We just get pregnant.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of feels like he's just throwing $50 on the bed and saying thanks for the good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go off and repopulate now.
Yeah. You're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your way. I see it. Don't call me. I'll call you.
Yeah. I don't know those kids. Never met you before.
Yeah. No child support. No nothing. Yeah. Yeah. I see where guys get it from now. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right,
I mean, this is it's crazy. But it happens all over the world. We got this one. I mean, we don't think about these things, but Enki and Enlil, did it in the Sumerian tablets. They just took women and I found a lover, just like that.
Yep.
Well,
yep. He laid with her and she became pregnant.
Yeah.
There you go.
Asking first. No, there's none of that. No, I know. And it's one story we read about. She said no many times, and yet he didn't take no for an answer.
Oh, yeah. King David, he was a real horn dog, too. He laid with all kinds of women.
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Sure enough, one of them was too.
8 wives? Yeah. Yeah, it seems to be a reoccurring thing, really, in society here on this planet. But I do feel that the goddess energy is coming in right now. I almost feel like mom's coming back. You know what I mean? Okay. So if there was, you know what I mean? And she'll be pissed.
Well, the thing is, I think it's always been here. And then the part is now it's more controllable because, in today's society, in the last, 30, 40, 50 years, it's been taboo to even talk about, oh, yeah, I seen an alien or I've been abducted. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell anybody I've seen aliens. I don't want to tell anybody I've been abducted. I told my wife and she laughed at me and I didn't tell anybody for 50 years because, but back in the day, it was a story like, oh my gosh, and then they had to refer it to God or demons to fit the narrative. Because if you didn't, well, you were exiled, discommunicated, or burned at the stake.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, here we go with another guy. This one here, then the supernatural worlds of Kirk, Reverend Robert Kirk. He did indigenous narratives of the Scottish. And if you've heard of him or not, he wrote down all these things about Scotland. Stone. Well, we know Scotland, England. They have a lot of stone markings. Stone things all over the place. We know about it's where the fairy tales come. Fairies live. The elves, the fauns, the fairies. A small number of handwritten copies of his publication lives on. I think his book is still available today. Somebody's got it in print. He really studied this and identified fairy territory, believe it or not. The fairy hills, the mountain people think of the fairies, but he's in superstitions like dangerous to peel or discover by taking earth or wood from them. The fairies, you could have bad luck, get killed. A woman who had fallen asleep under a fairy hill was, according to those who knew her, never very the same since. He says, I saw a woman of 40 years of age. Her name was McIerney. I was told by them of the house as well as herself that I'm taking on the Scottish thing. I hope I'm doing it well. That she took very little or no foods for several years past, and that her tarry in the fields overnight saw the converse with the people she knew, not having wandered in seeking of her sleep. And slept upon a hillock, and finding herself transported to another place before the day. The woman had a child since that time, and it is still pretty miraculous and silent, hardly ever seemed to laugh. So she got transported to another place, and then she ended up with the child.
Of course, again, pregnant again. Yeah, lucky us, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this child was very silent,
Well, she was in her 40s. The kids probably, might have some issues, so.
Well, but it just says, remember, even in the Bible, what was Abraham's wife was, well old past the age of having babies. And all of a sudden he gets contacted by an angel and says, hey, your wife's going to have a baby. And he's like, she's
she laughed. You know what? That just came to me now, as in, it would have been an in vitro. It would have been the sperm and the egg that they would have transported into her, because she didn't have any eggs anymore. So it wouldn't have been her egg. They would have had to do just like an in vitro thing. Yeah. For her.
Yep.
And fix her hormones too, because you got to have a certain kind of hormones in order for the uterus to support a fetus. So I don't know, like nowadays we got to go through several injections for like a month before or maybe even longer, before we are able to do the in vitro. Like I said, the lining has to be whatever. So I don't know. They must have done all that then.
Well, but if they've taken these people for years, or how do we know that they weren't taking, people, on a regular basis, and this is just the part that they let them remember? You know what I'm saying?
I would almost assume, that this is the only people that actually remember or are still alive, or were able to tell the tale. I'm sure there's got to be a lot more that didn't, So there's something to these mythologies. They call them mythology, but there's something to them all. So
Well, and so forth and so on. Well, anyway.
What happened to? We got to ask ourselves when we're talking about alien ships and stuff. What happened to the Vimana? And they had flying cities. So where are those now?
Right.
Well, yeah. Are they disguised? And that's why people would look up to the sky and pray, because they know they're up there. They just can't see them. I mean,
that's where the whole heaven thing, I guess, comes from. Yeah, well, that would explain when they talk about having mansions in heaven and all that. Well, that's probably what they're thinking of. Is just some city up in there.
Yeah.
That would kind of make sense, actually.
Yeah, God's
Yeah.
throne in heaven looks like a technological marvel with clear walls, with
Yeah.
emanating
Gold,
gold. Well, there's
white gold or
radiating
something like that.
energies. There's energies running all over the place, like a
Yeah.
computer chip. So it's like God's throne is inside a giant computer chip.
Well,
Mhm.
now you start getting into an area of,
Well,
like, is this
well,
a simulation? Is God a machine?
Hmm.
yeah. No, it could be.
So
God
And
was
that's,
sitting on a throne, though, so there was a figure, at least in
yeah.
that interpretation of it.
yeah,
Well, there's, and then the thing is a lot of this stuff was recorded in the Bible and myths and stuff like that. But today why don't we have these myths and legends coming out now? Is because we brush them off. I mean, here's a good one. In Argentina, in 1978 would have been the real good time to be brushed off for sure. Juan Perez is on his horse. He's a young man. He is checking his herds in Argentina, of course. Juan is he's doing his farm duties, and today he will conquer or find something, encounter something unknown. He's 12 years old. The field stretched ahead of him towards the horizon, which today is never before and is hidden behind a dense cloud. That sounds like something familiar, which slowly advances towards him. As
Please
Juan
don't tell me Juan came back pregnant.
no, he didn't.
oh,
But Juan enters the fog and encounters something unfamiliar, being taken shape. And what is it? It's some kind of a vehicle, some kind of workers, a hut. Unafraid, Juan examines the unfamiliar structure. He tethers his horse to it, and quietly and inquisitively he climbs up a kind of a ladder to peer inside an open door. What he sees is two figures working inside, one taller, one shorter. There's something almost robotic about both figures. The taller figure then turns and approaches Juan. It is not human. There was also Juan, and is one of three local witnesses who witnessed that in a small Argentina town. And other two witnesses have merely seen the craft and managed to escape its attentions. And Juan's encounter on board on the other hand, changed his life forever. Now, after Juan gets back from his, house, his horse dies the next day, and his dog, it also dies soon afterwards. But Juan keeps living, but it haunts him for the next 35 years because people ridicule him. They tell him he's nuts. They tell him, that couldn't have happened, and go on about your life. So he sneaks off to out into to more farmland and ranches and tries to escape all of this. But eventually, his voice is heard on a news show. And the next thing you know, some filmmaker finds him, and they made a movie of it called The Witness of Another World. So if you ever hear The Witness of Another World, that is a story of Juan and how he was taken into the spaceship. But apparently his mother, she also had, abductions from there too. So who knows? Maybe Juan was a hybrid child. There you go, Max. Maybe he was a hybrid.
Maybe they seem to follow family lines around sometimes. So
that makes sense.
Hybrid, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's kind of interesting to hear. But see now, 1,000 years before that, he could have said, "Yeah, I walked up into the ladder, and two angels were there. They told me of great things, and I came back home and spread the good word of God." And people would have bowed down in front of him. But today, you're nuts.
Yeah. And then we can look at Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh. He was a demigod trying to seek immortality by going to try and find his father. But his father really wouldn't have much to do with him, really. So,
Aw.
Yeah.
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 They,
Well,
they just ran around impregnating women and running off, same as the aliens. And, everybody seems to want to do that.
Make sure, I mean, so, no wonder we are the way that we are, right?
Yeah.
So we, learned it from the best, I
Yeah,
guess.
traumatized from the beginning,
Yeah, it's in our DNA cells. I mean, you know what I mean? So
we got one last one. And you guys know where Lake Victoria is in Africa? No? Yes?
No, but
Well, there's a lake.
big lake.
a lake. Yeah, I have no idea. Never been to Africa. Wouldn't tell you.
It's one of the largest freshwater lakes in Africa.
Nice.
Of course, a lot of weird, interesting things happen there. And we have the story of, and I can't even begin to pronounce this name, but I'm going to try. Yanengo Hodo Wuda Ambre.
Good job.
Yes. Okay. You can do better.
Okay.
You just go right ahead. No, okay. It tells an interesting story in Lululand. Most interesting story in this, the story of whatever.
That guy.
Joe, son of Hombre of Negwana Gawasi. But it was not him alone, but because of intense, irreparable mental torture, he turned into a tree. Yeah. So basically, here we go. Another one being abducted. Who can guess where this picture? There's a picture of him. There he was, turned into a tree. Kind of looks like a person, doesn't it?
Yeah, Persephone, the goddess Persephone, I believe, was turned into a tree.
Oh yeah. Well,
she was running and trying to flee, and in order to save herself, she turned into a tree.
Not too far fetched from the whole salt thing, or in Norway, we believe in trolls, along with the fairy realm and all of that. And a lot of them are like, in stone now. Like, so some of them must have turned into stone, or it makes you wonder. You look at a lot of Anyway, so that was a different show.
Oh yeah, he lived between the late 14th and 15th centuries on the shores of Lake Victoria in the present day Nawanda village. In the sub-district of Kenya. He was a member of the Wizari tribe who migrated to Tanzania in the 18th century, and others will just skip a lot of this, blah, 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 and settle in the present, whatever. Anyway, the poor family of a fisherman, he was himself, was very poor, but God-fearing fishermen. The fishermen included Nango, who used to set fish traps. Every evening, one morning, when Nango went to check his traps, he found a strange woman in one of these traps. The frightened Nango put the woman, told him not to be scared, and asked him to take her to his home and light a fire for her to warm herself. When they were leaving for home, the woman asked Nango to take along her goat, which she had left in the nearby mass of floating vegetation on which she and her goat had drifted for a long time. Nango was a very good woman who later agreed to marry him, or very good to the woman who later agreed to marry him. Nango continued to work very hard, and through good luck brought by his wife and her goat, began to accumulate riches, including large herds of goats, sheep, cattle, and his wealth increased over the years. Nango not only married more wives, but also began frequently drinking places and drunk heavily. Nango's first wife did not oppose to his new marriages or heavy drinking, but admonished him never to abuse her now, show contempt towards her just because he was fetched by her from the lake. Her first wife was properly known as Nayar. In reference to the fish trap she was found, her husband also became popularly known as Nihengo. Anyway, he came home late one night, his drinking sprees, and abused his wives. One night he turned home late and very drunk and found his wives had locked the doors. No wife opened the door for him. His many calls, he opened the door. He ignored the early warning and the promise he made and told his first wife, that even the woman he fetched from the lake could not open the door for him. Harsh words upset his wife, and who nonetheless opened the door for him, but decided to take revenge. Okay. Following morning, the cows became wild, making it impossible for Nango to milk them. It sounds like she turned everything against him. She took her walking stick, smoking pipe, and a few personal belongings. Then she called out to the rest of Nango's family and all the animals to join her on a return journey to the lake. Of course, she was going back to the lake. And then Nango saw all he possessed, valued, and streamed into the lake. He followed them and tried in vain to stop them as his first wife and all the animals disappeared into the deep waters in Lake Victoria. Now there you go. It was a total loss. So
should have stayed off the sauce, I guess. Eh? That's the moral of that story, eh, guys? Stay off the sauce.
Basically, the wife was, come from the lake, and then once he started treating her badly, she went back to the lake, and but anyhow. So what happens at Lake Victoria? That's the big thing. Is this the only?
How are they able to live, on the land and in the water? Like, he didn't mention anything about gills or anything. So how does she breathe under there? And the animals, how are they going to breathe under there? Like,
and that's where there's technology we don't understand. So here, what happens around Lake Victoria? Strange events, mysterious disappearance, and supernatural folklore. Site of disappearances. Fishermen and boats have vanished. Sometimes even calm weather. Many locals believe the spirits of the water. People pull people under if they disrespect the lake. Some claim to have seen ghostly canoes floating in silently across the water. The Nangu story, of course, and some claim strange figures of a glowing woman can still be seen at night. Strange weather phenomenon. Violent storms appear from nowhere. Local fishermen believe these storms are caused by angry lake spirits. As we know, that usually the angry weather is usually from things that we can't explain. Or spaceships or UFOs are usually associated with big clouds.
Depends on which community you're in, like if you're in the Norse, it'll be Thor, right? So with the all of that. And then if you're down in Greek, it would be,
giant
over there.
We get giant fish there. Oh, well, nobody's caught them, but they're giant fish. Have reported serpent-like creatures. Fishermen tell stories of water beasts. Where are those things coming from?
Yeah.
They're down in the ocean. That's the thing. The thing is so big. I'm sure there's all kinds of, like the Kraken and all that. I'm sure there is. Why wouldn't it be? Like,
well, just like in Lake Michigan and Lake Superior and Lake Erie, there's all kinds of shipwrecks and things that happen and people can't figure out. Stories of this, that, and the other. I mean, the same here. Shipwrecks. Killing there's one of the most Africa's worst maritime disasters, killing 800 people. Survivors reported feeling unexplained forces pulling them underwater. Some locals believe the tragedy was linked to curse or supernatural forces. UFO sightings, hidden underwater bases, extraterrestrial activity.
Well, that's the thing. I think that there's a lot of things going on under there. Like, there's could be a whole Atlantis type of thing under there right now that's in full operation.
Yep.
I don't know if they would know that we're here or not, but maybe. I mean, a lot of things are coming out of the ocean, so
definitely.
So then the question is are these aliens or terrestrials? Are they still here today, and are they controlling our society, tweaking it along as they wish to? I mean, they're saying that how many hundreds of thousands and thousands of people go missing every year. Where do these people go? They're never found. I mean, you can look on 411 missing, Can-Am missing. He talks about it every day. He talks about these people just disappearing. And what's his one thing? Oh, they always disappear near water. Water, water,
And
water,
another
water.
thing, yes, and another thing I've noticed too, that a lot of them are disappearing right above where the underground systems are.
Yeah.
So obviously they're being taken underground, a lot of them, because you put the map of where your underground systems are in the United States, you put that on top of where all the people are going missing. It was like, wow, okay. So
yeah, we reviewed the national parks, and it was kind of like organ harvesting going on there.
They're taking them. Yeah, we never find them. I'm sure there's multiple things that they're doing with them, obviously, right? But I do believe that these beings are here. They're still in charge of this place. They're pulling the strings. Those are the ones that are telling, or buffoons, but I'm sure they got a couple people above them as well that, aren't known to anybody. They don't know. They're probably the ones that are way up in the mountain, far away from people, they're actually, doing it all. But
I got to run. I got a show.
Okay.
This was a great conversation. Thank you very much for having me. Much love to you all.
Thanks for being on. And yes, thanks for your input. We'll see you over there soon. Everybody go check out Max Vision. He'll be having a show real soon, like. All right.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a great discussion with this tonight. I tell you, like I said, it goes along with the Anunnaki thing. I mean, we can read that book up and down, left and right, over and over and over. But really, it's happening, and it's been happening. The Anunnaki are gone, but
makes me wonder now that we're talking about this, like, because we're always like looking up, like, oh, the Anunnaki come from the sky and whatever, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're coming from the ocean.
Well, maybe they came from the sky at one point, but
and the sky and the ocean might actually be one big loop as well. That's another thing that's coming to me right now. Yeah, it's one big loop. Now I don't know how. I have no idea what that is. Okay, it's just something like him. Yeah.
But like I said, it's we just can't wrap our heads around that concept a lot of times, because in the big picture, we're still just idiots, when it comes to that. I mean, really, our intellect, our intelligence is all kept at bay. I think Wayne had said something about this on several of his shows, like, how come we don't have an IQ of 200 by now? Well, is there something put in our DNA to keep us from that?
Well, no, the reason why is because we have 12 DNA strands, but only 2 are fused together.
Yeah.
Which means we have all those other ones that could be fused, that could give us all our abilities and all the things that we're supposed to have, our memories, like all of it. But they're keeping us at 2, so that we're smart enough to operate machinery and whatever, shuffle some papers, whatever, but not smart enough to question why or what's going on. Although up until now people are starting to wake up and asking questions, and and looking, now that we have the internet for 20 something years, just enough time to kind of give a few generations access to stuff that we never had access to before, so and I believe that we've done this many times, and I think Atlantis is probably one of them. And we get to a certain point, and then they're like, they're getting too many, too noisy. Now they're starting to ask questions.
They're getting too smart. It's like the Tower of Babel. We're going to be just like the gods, and then they come down and smite us.
So I think that's kind of where we're at right now, unfortunately. And I know that's not a nice thing to kind of realize, if that's something that you're just realizing now. It's not fun, right? But I mean, we know the agenda, we know the game plan, but how long that's going to take, we don't know. So just enjoy our time while we're here. I mean, nobody knows at any given time, when is the last day. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yep.
That is but true. Yeah,
what do you got?
I got one more thing before we go here. Like,
yeah,
Antarctica.
Oh.
Who's to say that doesn't go into the ocean? Are they coming from the ocean into the Antarctica? Like, because we're not allowed to go there. You know what I mean? So that's another, I think, a huge clue there. And water, it just kind of.
Or is that the barrier? Is that the barrier that keeps us in? And there's something on the other side of that. If you believe in the flat Earth.
Into, like, you can go in and out of there. And there's a whole civilization underneath the ocean, probably around that area. There's probably a whole lot more going on underneath all of that than what we can see above, what we know that's there, So, I think that's a big connection right there. And I think they're there. And I think they're still in charge, And like I said, anyways, I know you want to,
What do you got coming up tomorrow?
So tomorrow we do have, well, actually, you're going to get the night off, I guess. I got a guest coming on. Her name is Karen Holton, and she's going to be talking about trans-dimensional. That's sort of the latest buzzword in the community. Hear that around a lot. So we're going to find out exactly what that is and all that can adjust tomorrow night. So tune in. Same time, same channel, I should probably get you the link. I'll get you the link right now. Put it in the live chat.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to have the night off. You're going to have the lady on. And who knows, maybe some of this stuff we're talking about is trans-dimensional. And we just don't understand it all. But it could be. It definitely could be.
Well, let's find out tomorrow, right? That's why we got guests on, so we can learn new things. And, it's constantly a learning process, So... yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. I got to say that. It really is. Like, we're always on our toes now. Whenever you're bored or anything, oh, geez, there's always something, so.
With the technology we have with this internet stuff, it's so much easier to communicate with other people, find out new things, find out information at a whim. Just type it in the chat GPT and it will give you all kinds of answers. Google it. It'll give you all kinds of answers.
Well, that's the thing. We're kind of relying on that now, but who do we really know the people that program that? Or do we really know that is the fact? All we know that's what it has been programmed. You know what I mean? So that's, that's one thing. And then, this is kind of like becoming the new God now. That's what Elon said. Actually, he did come out and say those words, that this is the new God. And so I'm almost assuming that the new one world religion will have, something like that part of it. Have an actual maybe thing that you can talk to and ask questions and pray to. Except for praying now, we can just type it in and get an answer. God actually answers you now. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah. So, well, it's something to think about. Well, with that, check that stuff out, everybody. Be over there tomorrow night, Nina's channel, 8 p.m. Central Time. Be
at 6 my time and 9
6 your time.
Yeah.
9 Eastern. Yes. So all good times. There you go. Don't forget to sub to her channel, sub to mine if you're not, or if you're unsub like 7P is.
Got some new merch in store.
Get the new powerful hand. I love the hand.
Yeah, go and get some. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Got to get the merch.
And if you can't see what it says we do not consent. And that's the thing. We do not consent to all the stuff that's happening to us. I almost feel like the woman down by the water, just waiting for the guy to come and just take it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of, yeah. Anyways.
Unfortunately, the guy down by the water always gets his way.
He always does. And we end up pregnant, So, yeah.
Oh, there you go. With that, everyone, thank you for being here tonight. Remember, do something nice for somebody else. Try to make the best of this world. It's all good. Make you feel better. You know, do a little meditation, do a little bit of good, and brighten your life, brighten somebody else's life, which helps you out too. And with that, remember, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.